Permit me, it's going to be a little bit of a rant video. I am so done with brick and mortar shops. See, today, like you can tell from my face, I'm already tired. I have already been to the post office. The whole day today was pretty much wasted just because of this thing right here. Just a charger, a USB-C charger, and a USB-C, to USB-C cable. I tried to buy this thing today from a brick and mortar shop. I have an iPad here that was sold already on eBay, and for one reason or the other, I realized that the charger that came with this stuff was defective, and I just wanted to send this tablet out because the buyer had actually pleaded with me that I do everything possible to make sure that this thing gets delivered by weekend, and I was like, okay, it's going to be possible because I just expected that there was just no way I couldn't find something like this in a brick and mortar shop. If I wanted to buy it online, it would have taken another day, and I wanted to just, surprise the buyer by simply just, going out of my way, even spending more money to just buy this thing right here, this 20 watts power supply for this iPad 8 Gen. You see, guys, this thing I'm telling you pisses me off right now. I'm just trying to, hold back myself, but I said to myself, there's just no way I can keep this annoyance, this anger within me. Otherwise, I don't know how I am just going to process it. See, I wasted 3 hours just trying to buy this thing. This is not the end of the story. Just wait for it, and you understand why I am literally pissed off at every brick and mortar shop right now. You see, I feel like this is the end. I'm done with brick and mortar shops. If I need anything in this category, I'm definitely going to go ahead and get it online somehow, even if I have to wait 2 or 3 days for it to be delivered. I do not care, because today, what I experienced pretty much just broke me. This was the last straw that broke the camel's back. I went to the first brick and mortar shop trying to get this power supply. The problem is, you get there, you see a lot of power supplies, different wattage. You see 45 watts, 20 watts, 60 watts, 100 watts. You first have to look through all of them, because one way or the other, the shops doesn't really have the manpower to ensure that these items are arranged accordingly, according to the wattage. This is a 20 watts stuff. So you have to, first of all, get there, take time to look through and, try to find what you are looking for. You get there, you spend about 10 minutes, standing, trying to observe, trying to see if you're going to be able to get a 20 watts power supply. It wasn't possible. I kept seeing other stuff, 45 watts. At the end of the day, I said, okay, perhaps this first shop doesn't have it. Let me go to the next shop. All right? Drove again. If you go to one shop, you have to first drive there. You come down from your car. You have to walk sometimes. You have to even look for the location where these power supplies are kept. And in some of the shops, the power supplies, tends to always be behind the shop. So you have to actually walk through the whole length of the shop. Sometimes you don't find it. You have to, try to catch some worker to try to ask, where can I get power supply? At the end of the day, you just waste like 20 minutes in one particular shop. All right? The first shop wasn't possible. I was like, okay, perhaps it is just this shop. Let me try some other electrical shop. I went there. It was the same thing. Of course, you are seeing these power supplies at an exorbitant price. The price is just simply outrageous, I kind of imagine that a power supply like this shouldn't cost more than, 10 euros, 15 euros. At the most, maybe 19 euros. I'm seeing this thing for sometimes 39 euros for just this combination, which is this power supply right here and a 1 meter USB-C to USB-C cable. I was like, 39 euros? This is going to eat deep into my profit. Perhaps it's just this shop. Let me go to the next shop. Guys, I was in the next shop. It was the same story. This 20 watts power supply, nowhere to be found. USB-C cable, nowhere to be found. I was even telling myself, okay, I don't even mind, I don't want to get this thing as a complete set. Perhaps I can get this from another product and then this cable from another product, try to pair them together. Guys, it wasn't just possible. I ended up going to like 6 different brick and mortar shops, wasting time. At the end of the day, I pretty much think I wasted more than 3 hours. When you factor in the time it took me to drive to each of these shops, to stand, to take a look, to ask the worker if they have this stuff, it wasn't possible. At one particular shop, I actually took these things, after taking a look, spending a lot of time, trying to, get the best combination for me at the best price. I took this thing to the cashier, and then he told me it was 40 euros. I was like, 40 euros for this thing? Are you kidding me? So I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to buy this stuff. There was just one last shop I needed to check out. And luckily for me, I got there. I was able to get this thing. I was like, okay, since I now have the adapter, perhaps I can then go to one shop where I found this one for €9.99 to buy this and try to, combine them, giving me this whole combination, for less than €20. I was like, okay, this is cool. Since I already wasted my time, what do I stand to lose? I went ahead, bought this combination, bought this head in one shop, this at another shop. Going back to the warehouse, I was a little bit angry that since when has it come to this? If you take a look, I do not know the right data, but I want to imagine that 4 out of 10 people has a phone or a device that uses a USB-C charger and a USB-C adapter just like this. I want to imagine that this is pretty much the trend right now in 2025. Gone are the days where, people didn't have this kind of device, but right now, a USB-C charger port is pretty much just standard for most of the phones, most of the tablets, even most of the laptops. I just couldn't imagine why these shops didn't have a constant supply of these things. Let's even assume that this thing was sold out. But how could it be said that a USB-C charger, which is the most basic thing that everybody will pretty much want to have, people's chargers constantly get defective, people lose them while traveling the train, people forget their chargers at home and they just want to quickly grab something to charge their phones, their iPad, or even their laptops, and you just cannot lay your hands on this in any shop, guys. I was already pissed off and I was telling myself, this is just a wasted effort, wasted idea. If I knew, I would have pretty much told the buyer, look, it wasn't possible for me to ship it out. Try to reach out to my supplier, try to buy, this power supply. Perhaps it's going to take like a day or two for it to be delivered to me. But I would have been, certain that I have not wasted my time and I have the original, charger. Guys, long story short, after wasting so much time, I came home and tried to plug this thing on this iPad here. This power supply, whatever you want to call it, this combination, didn't work on any device. It didn't work on anything. You see, my microphone here has a USB-C port. I even tried to use it on my microphone just to check it if this thing, just to know where the fault is coming from. At the end of the day, after wasting so much time, it so happened that this head here seemed to be working, but this cable right here doesn't want to charge this iPad. Everything was just so messed up, and I was like, really, are you kidding me? See, I do not care. This cost €9.99. I am going to take it back tomorrow. I do not care if I already wasted time. I wasted gas and traveling around today. At the end of the day, the thing that pisses me off is that 3 other packages that should have been sent out today on time was delayed on account of this thing. I couldn't go to the post office as in the exact time I would have loved to go. I went there about 5 minutes past 5 and the driver already drove out, meaning that whatever packet I have delivered to the post office today is going to be delayed today, and the first time they're going to be transported would be tomorrow, which, if I'm not careful, might also result in a delayed delivery. And I was like, what? Guys, this thing I'm telling you pretty much broke my day. And I'm still in shock how everything can happen in a very split second, from one shop, go to the other, and then the time is eating up, and before you know it, it's 4 o'clock, you still have things to ship out, and then after all said and done, this cable right here doesn't seem to work. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with the brick and mortar shops? See, I just feel like this pretty much is the end of these shops. If they do not stand up, to compete favorably, they're going to be wiped out. Amazon is going to take business from these shops. As a matter of fact, Amazon is already rendering some of these brick and mortar shops redundant. This is just me disappointed over the fact that I had to waste about 3 hours today, trying to buy a basic thing like a USB-C port. Now imagine how many people are constantly or daily being disappointed just because they cannot find the item they're looking for in the brick and mortar shops. And if you go onto the marketplaces like Amazon, like eBay, you are able to get these things. When I finally just did a little search, even without thinking, I went onto eBay just to check for this. I Googled up and I saw well over 100 people, selling this particular thing for cheap. Not only that, it's for cheap. These two combination, the delivery in like 2 days. And I'm like, okay, let me go onto Amazon and take a look. With Amazon Prime, you even get a better and a faster, delivery time. I saw people selling these things, these two combinations for €9.99. everything included, delivery also for €9.99 to be delivered tomorrow. And I was telling myself, why didn't I take advantage of this Amazon Prime thing? And as a matter of fact, I have an Amazon Prime account. I just forgot. I thought it was in the time of old where you could walk into a brick and mortar shop and get what you want, perhaps for like €5 or €6 more, even say €10 more expensive. I was seeing differences for up to 20, €25 difference. This thing sells for €9.99, on Amazon or on eBay, but in the brick and mortar shops, it was selling for €39. And not only considering the fact that it was selling for €39, it wasn't even anywhere to be found. That is the thing that actually pisses me off, and it wasted my time, kind of ruined my shipping schedule for today. And at the end of the day, I just couldn't do anything. I came back from the post office. I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about it. I pretty much think I'm done with the brick and mortar shops. If I need anything right now, see, first of all, right now, I'm going to see how I can actually get it online. Yes, I know I have to wait a few days, but I do not care when you consider the amount of time you have to wait, in comparison to the amount of energy you spend trying to get something from the brick and mortar shop. It's just not comparable. You waste your time, you waste your gas, the time you would have used to do something productive, you are not able to do it, all because you are walking around looking for an item. At the end of the day, the item is going to come at a very, very expensive price. See, I'm saying again, if the brick and mortar shops will not stand up to their responsibility, which is to look at what people want and, make conscious effort to stock these things, they are going to be wiped out. And it's already happening. A lot of shops are closing up. No thanks to Amazon, no thanks to the big marketplaces, eBay. They are closing up because they cannot seem to compete any longer. The items are expensive, overhead cost is so high, manpower cost, labor, workers constantly calling in sick. There are a lot of things that just don't work, in the brick and mortar model anymore. Even today, trying to get somebody to attend to me in some of the shops was a hassle. You walk into the shop, you try to contact with somebody, make eye contact with a worker. You see the worker just kind of, dodging, acting like he's so busy, and then you have to wait. And sometimes the worker is kind of attending to somebody else. It just takes forever to solve a potential buyer's little problem. And this whole thing kind of makes me very, very, upset. I don't know how I'm able to kind of overcome this when I think about the fact that I wasted about 3 hours today, trying to buy something, even though I was ready to buy it at a more expensive price. I wasn't finding it. And at the end of the day, buying it only to get home and I realized that the item doesn't work and I have to take it back. If I have to buy this thing online and it doesn't satisfy me or it doesn't meet my need, returning it shouldn't be a big problem. All I have to do just to, order the return label, I send it back at no cost to me and the buyer receives it and I get full refund for my money. But in this case, I have to also drive again, waste more money, waste more time. At the end of the day, get there and try to prove to the shop that, yes, this was the same item that was bought here. It doesn't work. If I'm not able to find my receipt or the invoice, then they are not able to refund me my money. If you are not lucky, that might be the end of the transaction. You might have to lose money, but that wouldn't happen if I had just simply sourced this thing from an online marketplace. I'm not here to talk about which of the marketplaces is best, if it's on eBay, on Amazon, wherever you want to buy it. But I'm simply saying that, these brick and mortar shops, they are just acting to me like their sole intention right now is just to waste your time, just to make sure that you are not able to do anything either. Right now, if you want to buy something, you want to buy something from 3 shops, you must be ready to waste about 1 hour. You should be ready to waste like 2 hours if you are not careful, because sometimes you still have to factor in the fact that there might be traffic, factor in the fact that you might get to a particular shop and not find the item you're looking for. You might get to the shop, you might have to stay so long on the queue just to pay for the item. Guys, it's just messed up, and I feel like this is a crazy model right now. And if the shops, still think they want to play or do business this way, they are going to be wiped out very soon. They are going to be out of business because Amazon and eBay and the big marketplaces, they are not smiling. And now with the coming of AI, this is just the beginning. Now, if you buy clothes on the internet, on Amazon, for example, or on eBay, sellers are even offering that they will send the clothes to you. You don't need to pay for it. You try it out, and if you feel like you like something, all you have to do is to send it back. And if you feel like something doesn't work, you don't have to make any payments. It has come to that, and the brick and mortar shops, They are still doing the classical model, you know, of you coming in, you buy a jeans or a shirt, you wear it, you pay for it, you take it home, and if it doesn't meet your need, you still have to come back. Guys, this is not the best way to do business in 2025. I mean, I don't know if I can directly talk to the owners of these brick and mortar shops that, look, if you do not do your due diligence to make sure that you are constantly, you know, stocking items that people want on a daily basis, I mean, I just don't know how it's going to be heard that electronic shops no longer have a 20 watts adapter and, you know, a simple 1 meter USB-C to USB-C cable. I just don't seem to be able to wrap my head around the fact that something as basic as this, you know, cannot be found in any shop. You know, 6 different shops, you know, big brand, big names. I am still in shock. But guys, I felt like I needed to get this out, you know, because I understand how important time is, how precious time is. If you are joining this channel for the first time, yes, this is one of the few times I am actually ranting on this channel. It's not typical that I come here to rant, but this is just one messed up situation that happened today, and I feel like you also need to learn from it. If you have items to buy and yes, for one reason or the other, you can actually wait a day or two, you are better off, you know, taking a look at the internet, taking a look at what the online marketplaces have to offer, you know, and carefully selecting the items you want. And if it doesn't meet your need, it's actually very easy for you to return the item. But if you feel like you have time to waste, you have all the time in the world, then knock yourself out, go to a brick and mortar shop and begin to find the items. The experience I have today, I don't think I want to repeat it again. And as a matter of fact, if I have to repeat an experience like this, you know, for 2 or 3 times in a week, I won't be able to run the complex operations that I have today. I'm going to be defaulting my shipping. I'm going to be stressing myself out. I'm even going to be increasing my overhead costs because, you know, the cost of gas, driving around. In total, I had to drive over 40 kilometers just to look for this little thing right here. At the end of the day, it's all amounted to a wasted effort. And that's exactly what got me very, very upset. All right. That being said, this iPad here is going to be shipped out tomorrow. I'm going to carefully go back, you know, to my supplier, try to get the original charger. You know, the buyer has been informed that for some circumstances beyond my control, the tablet couldn't be shipped out today. Hopefully, the buyer is going to see this message and just be human enough to understand that, yes, the things kind of happen like that sometimes. There are some situations that just can happen beyond the control of the seller, and this is one typical example of that. I'm hoping that the buyer is kind of, you know, understanding. But sometimes when people go to your shop, from my experience, to buy stuff like this, they want to get it as soon as possible, and sometimes they tend to lose all sense of understanding. Hopefully this isn't going to be the case with this tablet. Guys, if you are joining the channel for the first time, Hardwareflipper here. I sell you stuff on the internet, on eBay specifically, and on my website, you know, tablets, laptop, desktop PCs. If this is the kind of content you want, of course, not the rant content, feel free to be subscribed to the channel. Until I see you again in the next one. Peace.